I get advances, this increases chances. My life is like a prom, but there ain't no dances. I'm standing in this hall getting funny glances. I was raised as a youth, but was missing parents. I was raised by my granny, shit, I miss my granny. Hardly raised by my daddy, but I miss my daddy. Wasn't raised by my mother, but I miss my mother. I ain't get to know my mother, but I actually loved her. Strange. I made the studio my home. Every time I touch a microphone, I'm at home. Every time I hear a metrodome, I get in the zone. Every time I get into the zone, I'm usually all alone. Home, it's where the heart is, pop. It's where an art is, usually goes the heart is, pop. It's where an art is, showing them that you are hip hop. Long as you finish, doesn't matter where you started. I'm home. When I win, I'm alone. When the wind blows in and I won't lie. Oh, at home, I get home, go home, go home, get home, go home, get home, go home, go home, get home.
Why? So home is where the heart is, yeah. I said I'm in love with my hood, just know my love ain't lust. Hater said he had my chick, just know my broads ain't touch. Don't be snitching on my clique and get my dog caged up. Look for smoke and get you all blazed up. Like a chimney, aggressive with the ace when I hit your face with the mini-me. Have to switch the plates when I use the K on the enemy. I shoot it's automatic like bad habits and tendencies. All in the back, puffing the remedy. With a 9 on my lap, she like a 10 to me. I started from scratch, now the epitome. These rappers are my sons, y'all motherfuckers be kidding me. I'm smoking blunts out the Range Rover, the chain smoker. Dangerous, pretty ugly with Dracos if you ain't noticed. My hometown is a war zone and it ain't bogus. The fridge is filled with a gang of coke and it ain't soda.
When I win, I'm alone. When the wind blows in and I won't lie. Oh, at home, I get home, go home, go home, get home, go home, get home, go home, go home, get home. I go home when I win. I'm alone when the wind blows in and I won't lie. Oh, at home, I get home, go home, get home, go home, get home, go home, get home. I go home when I win. I'm alone when the wind blows in and I won't lie. Oh, at home, I get home, go home, get home, go home, get home.
Well,
Wait, put it away, cause you don't hustle, I came from the bottom of my way, You ain't done it so many times, now you know we well, Making a move, this is the life that I choose. What else do I gotta lose? Thinking I'm walking my shoes, no.
Oh, folks, the calm before the storm is closing in as the winter meetings are a week away. And look, folks, why not have a chat? And why not bring our good friend Bobby Millone into the chat? Bobby, welcome to NYYU.
Oh, I feel very privileged right now. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Dayne. Thank you for having
Absolutely.
me on. I'm really excited about this time of the year. It's like Christmas, right?
100%.
It is Christmas.
So
100%.
these next 10 days are what it's all about.
Yeah, no doubt. So really quickly, guys, you already know Dayne, the great Dayne of NYYU. I don't gotta introduce Dayne. You guys
What's
know
up,
Dayne
everyone?
already. So hello, everybody. Thank you, guys. Remember to hit the like button. Got a couple of super chats already. DJ Steele says, "What do you want, Pete? I was watching the news." Sorry, Steels. All right, this is more important, okay? And this is a good one because this kind of lead into the conversation. Eric says, "Hey, Pete, call me crazy. I don't see the Yankees spending $700 million on 2 guys." Well, I don't know where the 700 is coming from. They wouldn't have to worry about that right now when it comes to Soto. But, Bobby, let's do this. Let's start this way. Give us your thoughts. Just your overall thoughts right now on the Yankees and what is, in your opinion, their prime target?
I think without a question. I mean, the minute that we found out about, I guess Andy broke the news a few months, now it's 2 months ago in early October that they were interested in Soto. I think that changed the ball game for where they were headed to this winter. Originally, I did not think Soto was a possibility. I didn't think Howe would give the okay, not in terms of getting him, but then probably after extending him after next year, right? So once that was approved, or let's just say it was approved through the conversation, and they started some early trade talk. And by the way, I think that was all Randy Levine. I mean, I've heard through people that Cash's team has not spoken to their counterparts, which is like Preller and his people. This is something that I think Randy Levine had, picked up the phone, called up. I don't know who it was in their front office, but it's probably a higher up, and say, what's the possibility of Soto being moved? And I think that's how the room started. And we hear it now from all the major players that the Padres are in the hole, maybe $50 million they need to take off. And what's the logical move? Probably Soto and his $33 million. And there's some other players. Carpenter's making, I think, $5 million next year. Cronenworth, I think it's got $80 million over the next 7 years.
Yep.
Right? So I don't know what kind of blocks have to be moved, but I think the prime focus, whether it's at the winter meetings, whether it's before Christmas, if we look at history, we could see that Lindor got moved in January. Mookie Betts got, I think, moved in February. I think my personal opinion is when MLB tells the new leadership there, the books need to be right. And I think once that happens, it's going to go fast.
Wasn't there an announcement today that MLB told them that they were out of line with their payroll and their earnings?
It could be. I've been out of the house for a couple hours. So, yeah, it could have been today. I do know what happens every year, and it could be around this time, is teams put a forecast of a budget. They submit it to MLB. It could be, plus, minus, whatever, and they look it over. So, yeah, it could definitely be now. And once that is, once they get, I guess, the hammer at them and saying, listen, things need to be straightened out by maybe January, that's when we're going to see, I think. And then the other thing is, and I've mentioned this before when I'm online, Cashman likes clear paths. He doesn't like bidding wars. I can't think of a bidding war that he actually won. It could be we're talking about 10 years ago, it could be. He stays away from them. He, if you look at his moves, his big moves, they were right in front of him. The last big move you want to say is Stanton in 2017.
Yeah.
If I don't know if Pete was online. I remember back then.
Yep.
We heard about that, and I tweeted back then that I think the path is going to go right to the Yankees, and sure enough, it did, because you saw other teams coming out of that path. So, what is the path of Juan Soto? To me, it's really two teams. It's really the Yankees and the Mariners.
Yeah,
I agree. Are the two teams. What teams could take on $33 million in arbitration, could give up probably 2 to 3 pitchers that need to play in the MLB next year, plus maybe a bat, and then after that 1 year, probably have to, take on $500 million or roughly near that number. How many teams could do that or want to do that? So I think the Mariners are always scary. You got to remember, the Mariners and the Padres, Preller and Dipoto, have made some trades in the past few years.
Yeah, they have.
So they work pretty well.
Yep.
I don't know if the Mariners are looking to trade Wu or Miller. They would have to trade both. But the sense that I feel, and I may be wrong, is that the Yankees are willing to move, probably Chase Hampton, which is he's a top 50 prospect.
Yeah, 100%.
Probably Schmidt or King, and then 2 other players. Pereira could be one. It could be, Velasquez, could be Brito, it could be Warren, something like that. But one thing I would not take out of the realm is that they move either Peraza or Torres to get an arm to put in a deal. I don't think it's a 3-way deal, but I've heard, it wouldn't surprise me. The 2 teams that are looking for middle infield talent, the Marlins and the Mariners, both have arms.
Yeah,
Yes,
one of the
they
things
do.
too. One of the things too, when it comes to, like you're saying, you're right. It's really one of those things where the platter is being made for the Yankees to just say, "Hey, come on, like get over here. Come on, what are we doing?" It's like you said with Stanton, right? He rejected some deals. Yankees were right there. They had the money. They had everything to make it work, and it happened. Same thing is slowly happening here with Soto, and I always bring it back to Jeff Passan because in 2022. Nobody had it the way Passan had it. He said
No.
flat out, he's going to SoCal. He's going to be traded. They're not going to hold on to him. He's being traded. He went to San Diego. He recently just said they have to trade him. No matter, the charade is up. The Padres got to deal him. And the team that makes the most logical sense is indeed the New York Yankees. Because one, this is a great time for the Yankees because they do got really good young pitching coming up. And guys that
Yes,
are
they
controllable.
do.
One of the guys that a lot of Yankee fans even sleep on, I would say, is Clark Schmidt. And the reason being, he's already developed now at the major league level, one. And two, he's cost effective for years to come down the line. So if you're San Diego, those are the type of players you want, knowing that immediately he makes an impact in the rotation. And Bobby, I don't know about you, but there's not many players that I'm saying no to when it comes to trying to get Juan Soto.
Probably
No.
not. I mean, I don't think, we know Cashman or throughout the years, he's going to limit it to 4 players.
Yeah.
What are those 4 players? I mean, like you just said, I think Clark Schmidt makes all the sense in the world. 4 years of control, making $3 million next year. What's his upside? Maybe a 3, but he's clearly a 4-5, no questions asked right now.
Yep.
Right.
Chase Hampton, and you guys, wrote about him and stuff.
Yes.
Clearly could step in probably late May, early June next year.
They believe Chase is going to break out even more. We talked to Grayson Crawford, their AA pitching coach, last week, and he had great things to say about Chase and how they expect him to be even better this year. So Chase is he might have the highest ceiling of any of the pitchers we have.
So when you're leading a package with those 2 guys, and believe me, I would not want to lose Chase Hampton, but you're getting Juan Soto, right?
For Soto,
Right.
yeah, who cares?
Yeah. So if you're going to put Hampton in there, and I would say probably a guy like Vasquez, who started had 37 good innings, and then maybe you're going to add Pereira. You're talking about a very solid package. Now, I will tell you this right now: if you're going to be taking on Cronenworth's money or Carpenter's money, which they could do, I mean, let's be honest, that should be sufficient enough. I mean, you're going to give them 3 pitchers who probably will be in their rotation midsummer next year. No question.
Yeah.
Vasquez will probably put in their rotation coming out of spring training. Schmidt's already in there. And we just talked about, Hampton. You're not going to bid against yourself.
Yeah, and you bring up Jay Cronenworth, and I want to talk about him for a second, if you guys don't mind. 7 years, $80 million is left on that contract, right? And here's the thing. So I talked to a few fans that obviously follow San Diego very close. I just asked them, I said, what was the problem last year? And they said flat out, it's like when Gleyber moved the shortstop. He didn't belong there. Yeah. He needs to stay at second base. Yeah. So I tell you what, if I'm the New York Yankees and I say, hey, I'm getting Cronenworth in this deal, we got to play him. Gleyber, I don't think the Yankees are giving Gleyber $150+ million to re-sign him. That's what he's going to get. I don't think they're going to do that. This would now become a cost-effective option, a lefty bat that could pop 20+ homers. And he was also very good defensively at second base.
Absolutely.
It could make a lot of sense for the Yankees. Now you added 2 lefties in that lineup.
Yeah, his metrics, if you look at it carefully, he did. I will say this: he did break his wrist, I believe. Yeah, in September or late August of last year. So that is still a factor. But you're still taking on the 7 years of money. His stats for Yankee Stadium like you just said, he will be a 20 to 25 guy. And the thing with Torres is, I threw it out there last week, and I'm just trying to put dots together. If they miss out on Yamamoto, they still want a pitcher. Shane Bieber, yes. But look, Shane Bieber this time last year was a top 10 arm, okay?
That's right.
He is the protege of Matt Blake. He's the reason why Matt Blake has a job, let's be honest.
Yeah,
okay?
It is.
You're right.
All right. So they need, I'm not saying they're going to, would they Guardians put him back at shortstop, but they were in the bottom half of the MLB when it came to shortstop production. Would they consider Bieber for Torres deal? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I think there's a combination where, like you said, either it's a three-way deal, but I think that, like you just said, with all the, and you guys do a great job with your minor league stuff, without a doubt, fantastic stuff. Look at all the middle infielders they have in
a ton.
Right. You could live with Volpe at shortstop, third base, second base, with all the minor leaguers they have. There's going to be positions. If you lock in Torres, like you just said, at $150 million, what are you telling all those kids in the farm?
Yeah,
they're trade pieces.
What is your future with the Yankees? If somebody gets hurt, or if that's something you have to consider. So I think they would like to, I'm just thinking forward, they would like to have openings at third and at second in the next 2 to 6, 7 years, which the farm could bring that up at a cheap rate.
And by the way, too, Cronenworth doesn't block that because there isn't a large salary yearly there. He could become a bench guy if need be off the bench, so it doesn't hurt too much.
Absolutely. That's what I'm thinking. Absolutely. Yeah. Because, if Cronenworth needs to play shortstop or third base or second base or first base in a pinch in 2 or 3 years, you cross that bridge then. You're not worrying about it to block a Soto
Thank
deal.
you, Bobby. Tell the Yankee fans out there, we're not too concerned about 3 years from now.
Please don't get me started with that.
We got to be concerned about this year. This team went 82-80. Yankee fans are ripping their hair out. I'm calling these games, going nuts calling these games. We want excitement. The Yankees must have a big offseason. And look,
absolutely,
if it's to take on Cronenworth, by all means, sign me up. Give me the guy already.
100%.
There's no way you should be thinking what 25, 26, 27 is.
Bingo.
How, I'm a little older than you two guys, but the Yankees, and I think Cal's feeling that pressure, and he felt that pressure in 2008. Okay. Yep. I don't know. I remember seeing 2008. It was Swisher, I believe, the second week of November. And then they did AJ and CC over the meetings. Yep. And I was leaving for a cruise and they signed Teixeira.
Yeah.
And then
Christmas.
Right.
Yep.
And then in 13, it was Ellsbury. No, it was McCann first, Ellsbury, Beltran. And then right after the New Year, maybe, they got Tanaka. So, right. I think we're in that kind of realm where he knows he has to spend. The question is, where is he spending the money? I think by far, the biggest importance is getting Soto. But I also think that they also see some other paths where they can improve. They know the offense, 29 in batting average, 24 on base percentage.
304. 304 combined on base percentage, disgraceful. Not Yankee like, by the way.
No, not at all.
That? 24 OPS and 29 on batting average. When have we seen teams like this?
We haven't.
That's right.
I mean, I have. I've seen the 91, the 92,
yeah, right,
the 93. Right. 93 was good, but 90, 91, and 92 were terrible. That's where it's we're looking at, and I think he realized he's got to booster that offense. And I don't know if you guys agree. The confidence I have in Matt Blake, where they could possibly take a pitcher, and I mean, look at Weaver. I forgot his first name.
Jared. Or no.
Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver.
Look what he did in those few starts. Look what Vasquez and Brito did.
Well, the other thing, too, we got to remember, right? That's what also makes Cole so valuable. He's teaching these guys. I mean, he saw him with Luke Weaver. He's telling them, hey, look, get, the elevation on the fastball. Here's how I throw this pitch. Start doing that. And he looked a lot better. Weaver looked a lot better. We got a couple of super chats real quick. Slim Lewis says, all in on Moto plus Soto. Backup plan is Bellinger and Corbin Burns. We'll definitely talk about Bellinger. Jeff says, what's going on, family? I'm at 36,000 feet flying to a meeting, but when notifications go on for NYYU fam answers the call. Now someone hand me some Mangua, Presidente, Soto, Yamamoto, and Bellinger. Okay, well, We'll definitely gonna get into that conversation. Bobby, I definitely wanna ask you about this because I've seen you talk about it a lot. There's been a lot of comparisons out there about Bellinger and Jung-hoo Lee. So for a lot of the people out there who don't know Jung-hoo Lee, me and Dayne, I think maybe we've had a little bit of back and forth conversations about the 95 plus. So I recently spoke to a fan that has been watching him since 2017. And he said, forget the whole, he can't hit 95 plus consistently. He can. The problem is, can he hit it with authority, and how quick is that going to happen? That's the issue. How fast is that going to take place? And on top of that, the other thing is, how much money is he going to command? Now, I can't see this guy getting $100+ million. The reason being, the KBO is basically AA baseball.
Yeah.
So
See, the way I look at it with Lee is, and let me first, I'll say I'm not a fan. Okay. And the reason why, like, you know, the Korean Baseball League would be in between double and AAA, right?
yeah.
And he could be, listen, I'm pretty sure he's got a great skill set. There's no question about it. You know, Fangraph has him, I think, at the third or the fourth best international. Let's say that's still out there. There's no question about this. The two concerns that I have, well, you know, there's three. First, there's got to be 15 to 20 teams who are interested, because, like you just said, he's probably going to be somewhere between 60 and $100 million. You got Boris as his agent, so he's going to be shopping him around. The next concern that I have is, how fast is he going to adjust to the MLB game,
Right.
the day in, day out? Okay, and how is that going to translate into power? I've heard people compare him to Stephen Kwan. Let me be honest with you. You know, 4 or 5 home runs is not going to cut it for a team who just did not have any power last year. Yes, maybe he gets on base, but they need some pop. They had 0 pop last year. And let's be honest, if you look at the year before that, you know, Judge carried that team. They needed to spread it around.
Kidding me?
Right. And then the last thing that I'm concerned about is, when it comes to Lee, is, where does he play when Domingue? Let's assume we got Soto, right? We got Soto in left field. Where does he play after, let's say, August of this year, if Dominguez is back?
That's been my question, is if we have Soto and we have Judge, where does Dominguez play? Where does Lee fit in? I would rather avoid that situation.
I mean, if you're talking about, let's just say he's going to get, and I have to think, 15 for 5, which is $75 million. Let's put it that way. You're not going to have a $15 million fourth outfielder.
No way in hell. No way in hell. I think the only way that works is if the Yankees are really saying, maybe that baseball people are truly buying in and they go, you know what? It's going to make sense in many different ways. One, it's also going to make sense financially, because that's the Korean market now that you also have, along with, you know, what Soto brings, what Yamamoto brings, who we're going to talk about here soon. And maybe that they feel like, you know what? It's worth the gamble, because is Stanton going to stay on the field? Are we going to have that DH spot open by the time Dominguez is ready? And I know it's hard. You don't want to, you really don't want to run your team that way where you go, well, you know, in August, we're probably going to have open spots. Somebody's going to be hurt. You don't plan your team that way.
Yeah.
You hope to have pieces, but like you said, you don't want a piece that's $15 million going, well, now we don't have a place to play this guy.
And you make a good point there, Pete, right? If it's pure money, right, you're talking about, and the $75 million plus the $75 million maybe after this year you're going to probably eat on Stanton makes more sense, because once Stanton's gone, then you can move Judge into the DH and you could have a rotation going around, you know, with those guys. Maybe that's their thinking, right? I don't trust them enough, nor do I believe them enough that they're that forward thinking, that they're going to possibly, you know, I think where their belief is, Stanton fresh this year, maybe gets the message, maybe plays 125 games, hits 35 home runs. is great next October. So you build on that and you dwindle that contract down. He signed 24, 25, 26, and 27. You got 4 more years of him.
Yeah.
But you're right. Listen, I could see that. I mean, like, I wish they were that forward thinking. I just don't have that faith. That's the word I'm looking. I don't have that faith in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Dayne?
I would, well, just for me, if we're not trading Spencer Jones in this trade, where does he fit in with that? Because I got a report last night that he's gone back and worked on his swing and leveled it out and is working on a 2-strike approach. That was his biggest problem this year. He's an elite defensive center fielder. Also plays first base.
Right.
I'll throw this out there to you, and I think to me it's a great problem for the Yankees to have.
100%.
Let these guys be phenomenal. You know, that's a lot of times people think, they're blocked. And I said this to you guys the other day in our team meeting, Dayne, when we were all together. I said, guys, look, at the end of the day, if Jason Dominguez gets quote unquote blocked because maybe they get 2 outfielders, let's say, and that's where they're playing, Jason Dominguez is such an elite talent that he's going to find his way on the major league club. They'll figure it out. The Yankees aren't going to go, sorry, you're out the pitcher. Let's trade you for anything. Let's trade you for something that we could get at that time. That is what you should want. You should want Spencer Jones to be phenomenal, because then maybe down the line when that one player becomes available that other teams want, maybe Spencer Jones is extremely attractive. And for you, you can say, we can kind of pass. We can let this guy go.
I think one thing people tend to do is projections, right? When it comes to, like you just said, Pete, you can't really project. Like Spencer Jones, you know, could he play first next year? Ben Rice is it. Somebody said to me the other day, I don't want to sign Bellinger because it blocks Ben Rice, right? How do I know Ben Rice is going to be anything? He's a great kid. He seems great, but it's about winning now. And I have seen this over 40 years of baseball. The most unusual, craziest things happen where people who were not supposed to be great become great. Brett Gardner was a Yankee for 15 years.
That's right.
Yes, he was.
He was a walk-on in college.
Let's be honest, right? I don't know if you remember in 2005 when they brought up Cano. Cano was offering that A-Rod deal in 2004. They didn't want him.
Yep, that's right.
So you see things happen. You don't know, where the future is going to lie. You're fortunate to have it. I think and like I said, you guys are doing a great job with the breaking down the minor leagues. The thing that I'm thrilled with, somebody who's been following the draft since 1988, their drafting in the past couple of years has led them to this point, especially with the pitchers. They're drafting pitchers and developing pitchers at a rate. I mean, Baseball America has put it out there. Both their hitting and their pitching is quality in the top 5 in all of baseball.
Top 3.
Top 3,
yeah.
right? So you're seeing that, and we're not even seeing the arms they drafted last year, which I'm very high on. So if they're going to be making moves, whether who they're trading away, they have that ability. You know, that was the other thing somebody said to me. Well, if we go out and get some of these guys, it's going to be blocking the kids in the minor leagues. You just don't know what happens.
That's right. You never know, man. Everybody's path is not the same, and you can think a guy's blocked today, and tomorrow he finds a spot. And
what's the? I'm so sorry. What is the player in Japan that's the first baseman?
Murakami.
Right. He's not going to be posted probably because he wants to get paid. He's not going to get. He's not going to do the Ohtani thing and get international money. He's 3 years away. I'm not going to hold up a spot at first base for somebody who's 3 years away. It doesn't make sense.
And on top of that, he has to get himself back on track before he looks at getting any money at all because he had a tough year. So we got a couple of super chats here. Michelino says Yankees have the pieces to bring in Soto and Cronenworth and Brendan Donovan, where Cronenworth can eventually move to first. Thoughts? Love you guys. He played first base this year. I wouldn't want him to be a regular first baseman for the Yankees. I think, like I said before, if the Yankees get him, I'd be all for him just sticking at second base. Again, you're adding a bat that's going to be 20-plus homers. He's much better defensively at second base. That's the route I would go.
I agree with that. I would stick Cronenworth at second base and live with it and be thrilled that we got Soto back. That's just how I think.
And let's also not act like Gleyber Torres is, second fiddle. Here's a guy who's going to get you something decent in return. Truly. I mean, think about when these guys fall off the board and teams are looking at, they're going, Bellinger's gone, Lee's gone. All these names are gone. Well, the Yankees are interested in trading a potential mid of the bat order.
And I'll say this right now. I'm not the biggest Cashman fan out there. But one thing I'll give Cashman credit for, he knows how to read. And I'll say this when we're talking about Bellinger. He knows how to read a market. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I mean by reading a market, he's got 7 catchers on the roster.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Yep.
He's got, like you just said, he's got Peraza and he's got Torres. Once this rush over the next few weeks pass, teams are still going to be looking for those players, and he's holding on to those chips, knowing those deals are out there. One thing that Cashman has done very well is that he could see the lanes that are coming up in front of him. And we criticize him all the time for not being aggressive enough. Believe me, I'm the first one to say that. But he has his reasons. I would have to assume that's the only thing.
Right.
And he's going to be picking his lanes over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Simple as that.
No doubt. We got a super chat here again from Li Yankee King. Oh, God, here we go. I want Yamamoto, get my Andrew Abbott from the Reds, and I'm pushing this all off season. Get me Ryan McMahon. Hot take, McMahon will be a better acquisition than Bellinger if you have the prime from the Rockies. Again, I don't believe. I'm actually a fan of Ryan McMahon. I've been a fan of his for a while.
So am
He's
I.
a great third baseman. Would fit the Yankees very well. I agree with Li on that. But my understanding is that the Rockies absolutely love him and the owner loves him. That's why he got such a quick deal. And he's not going to let Ryan McMahon go. He's a guy they're trying to build around. But speaking of potential lefty, I know I see you talking about Bellinger all the time, Bobby. Give us your take on Cody Bellinger.
But it's a very weird subject to talk about or to write about. Like, this is a team that struggled last year in offense, right? And let me just make this clear. And what's today's date? It's the 28th of November.
Yep.
If people don't realize, Soto is by far the number one important thing to get, right? Without a question.
100%.
It's not about Soto or Bellinger. And if you're thinking that way, or if they're thinking that way, then they truly need help. Okay. And I don't think they're thinking that way. I think they know he came out and said, we need a center fielder and a left fielder, right?
Yep.
Yes, he did.
So it means 2 positions. The problem I see with Bellinger, I think a lot of people are scared because they think the money is going to be tremendously high. My feeling, it's not. And like I just was talking a second ago about the pathways, right? What is Bellinger's market? I just tweeted out a couple hours ago, the Giants have like 7 or 8 outfielders.
Yep.
Okay? There was a rumor just before we went about Ohtani is he's going to be the DH. Nothing playing the outfield, right? He's pitching. I have heard that the Mariners are not looking to sign anybody with compensation, with meaning a pick, right? So they're pretty mad. So what it's coming to, and I don't think he's going back to Chicago. So what's his market? It's probably the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and that mystery team. And I think if you saw that today in the Post from Heyman, that scared everybody because we don't want it's not a smart move to get Soto. That is strictly a Boris piece.
100%. 100%.
Because if you're thinking about it, right, what is Boris probably telling Bellinger? I'm going to give you more than I gave Brandon Nimmo last year, which was $162 million.
Yep.
Right? And to the first team that comes over that number, we have a deal. My feeling is Cash, like we're talking about, is seeing the lanes. He's now reading the market, and he knows it's going to be that day when Boris calls him up and tells, hey, Brian, what or how, what's the best that you could, what can you offer? And he let's be honest over here, right? He bailed him out last year with Carlos Rodon.
That's right.
Yes, he did.
That's right.
What was his market last year?
It wasn't what was
there
expected.
wasn't one.
right? And even stupid me, a couple days before he signed, he said, "Yeah, give him the $230 million." Right? I even said that. I mean, I'll admit that, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm not a GM, right? What is Bellinger's market? Break it down. And what I think Bellinger offers is that, and I have friends in St. Louis, and excuse me, in Chicago, and I talked to them about Bellinger. They absolutely love him. They think worked his ass off. He was playing center field every night, switching to first base in the 7th or 8th inning every night, okay, to get the defense in the infield. So he was at two positions. He was a guy who on two strikes or on an unfavorable count was just moving that ball to left field, slapping the ball to left field. The power numbers were, you want to call it down, he had 26 home runs, 97 RBIs, a 307 batting average, and an 881 OPS. What Yankee was even close in those numbers last year?
Not a single one.
Right? And we're going to trash this guy and call him Ellsbury Part 2?
Yeah, no, can't do that.
No, that's silly.
Like, what do we don't like? He in 2001, hurt the shoulder, played with a hurt shoulder all year, had long-term COVID, had two pulled hamstrings, had an ankle problem, and had an oblique muscle. Now, I will say this. Is he going to be a long-term health problem? That's the number one concern. Because I can tell you right now, if he's healthy, he should be good for 30, 90, a 260, 270 batting average, and about a mid-800 OPS. And playing Gold Glove position at two positions.
Yep, that's right.
Now, next year when Rizzo moves, that's Rizzo's money, but you could have him filter between first base, right field, left field, center field. He blocks nobody. Now, if you could find me a better bat, and I always, that's been my running joke. Max Kepler and me have been together since 2017. Yeah, Kepler's a good move. You could probably get him for close to nothing if you pick up the $10 million, right? And he has played center field, and his outfield metrics are off the charts. So could he play in a platoon in center field? Probably, yeah. And you could probably get him for nothing. The question is, what differences he's making. This is my fear. And please tell me if I'm wrong. My fear is they get Soto, they put him in a 2-hole, they have Judge in a 3-hole. Those two will be pitched around all the time. Yeah. All the time. And you're going to have runners at first. We're going to see this as a running joke next year. First and second, nobody out. Rizzo hits into a double play, right? Okay. So you have a runner at third. That's at 2 outs with a K from Stanton coming up. To me, if you put Bellinger in that 4-hole, you got a contact guy. 12 sacrifice flies last year. He knows how to move runners over. He knows how to put the ball in play. And he's changed himself as a hitter. That the only concern I have is health. If the health is there, he's going to perform. If the health is not there, what performer doesn't? What player performs under being unhealthy? They don't.
Yep. No, they don't.
Yeah, I would say too when it comes to the way the lineup could be constructed, it is going to be a concern of who's protecting Judge, even if it is Soto Judge. Yeah, there's going to be times where the Yankees have a 2-0 lead because Soto's going to walk and Judge is going to homer potentially. But at what point, especially in big games, do a team say, all right, we don't get one of those guys? Well, walk Judge, pitch around Judge, make him chase, make him get aggressive if need be. And if he doesn't, you walk him. And then, like you said, you got Rizzo up. It'll be nicer to have Bellinger up after that or somebody with, legitimate protection. Here's my thing for Bellinger. I want him.
And I just want to stop you for a second, Pete, too. I just want to stop you for 1 second. And we're assuming that Rizzo's healthy.
Correct. Bingo. Who knows?
Yes.
I mean, of course the Yankees are going to say, yeah, he's doing great. We don't know. They said that when he was playing. And he was playing, he couldn't see nothing. It was an absolute mess. But the most attractive thing about Bellinger to me is, of course, the lefty bat. But to me, it's that if you want to try your best to hope that he doesn't break down, leave him at first base.
Absolutely.
Get through this year and then say you are the starting first baseman. That is
Absolutely.
it. You're not going to be in the outfield. We don't want you there. We want you to focus on this infield. Be the commander of that infield. Take over. Play first base for us. Be that big bopper at first base. Like Bobby said, hell, if this guy's average if he's not at 300 again, he's down to 260. Who cares? I mean, I'm being dead serious. Who would sit there and go, he's not the same guy? Look at what we had. That's exactly what you need.
Yes.
260, 25 plus, 90 RBI. That would be phenomenal. Gold glove defense at first. That is everything you can ask for.
I think the fear with a lot of fans, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if they get Bellinger, they can't get Soto. And
Correct. That's exactly it. That's exactly
the two
it.
things are two completely. I mean, I said this to I'm being a teacher. I'm a big numbers person, right? They could get easily Soto, Yamamoto, and Bellinger and have the same payroll as they had this year.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's a question of, do they want to do the legwork? Do they want to do the work? Okay?
Creativity.
Right, absolutely.
That's
they
it.
could do that. And I just think, and I don't want to hop to Yamamoto because I was just, like I said, I was listening in the car just now. We listening to the Yankee point of view, right?
Mhm.
We're hearing, today, Andy Martino saying that 18 jersey is saved for him, right?
Right.
There were 10 other GMs in Japan this year looking after Yamamoto. Those 18 GMs want Yamamoto, okay? And they feel the same way we do, right? And my whole take is I think that's going to be an interesting thing that we see is where that number finally stops. Because I think that once Ohtani's off the board and the Cubs, the Rangers, the Dodgers, the Mets, I think one of those four get Ohtani. Once he's off the board, those teams still have allocated money.
That's right.
For a number. They're not going to just put it back in their pocket. They're going to go after Yamamoto. So maybe I'm wrong, but I think you want to see where Ohtani goes for if I'm Yamamoto, and then I'm going to see who has the money and get the most money. Because he wore a Yankees hat a couple of years ago, right? And he supposedly likes the Yankees.
Yeah. God
bless him if he comes to the Yankees and passes up 50, 60, 70 million dollars. Okay? Because I just don't know what kind of player could do that.
Right.
You think the Yankees will be that short on their offer with him, even with the relationship with Swimming Minami?
I think that personally, I think their number is around 220, 225 for 8 years.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I told you that the other day. 225
Yep, that was
is exactly what I told.
I think I think three teams. I think the Dodgers, I think the Cubs, and I think the Mets. Any of them could get crazy. And I know people are going, oh, this is good. I think any of those three teams could do 10, 300. Because he's 25. Like, listen, Aaron Nola just got 7 years and 170 something million at 31 years old, right?
Yep.
He's 25.
And the other thing too, Bobby, is what we talk about this a lot on this on NYYU. Where anytime we're talking about Yamamoto, it's not as big as a risk anymore. Yes, there's a risk. I understand that, but that league, especially with the pitchers, it is kind of leveled out. The pitchers come here and it's like it's not a problem. I mean, what's the difference?
No,
we're coming here, we're doing very well. There's even been pitchers that haven't performed great in the NPB and have come here and performed better.
Yeah. Yamamoto should be like Senga was this year, probably around that, I would think. But the thing is we talk about my fear with him is the size. I tried to Google the other night, look up how many pitchers under 6 foot have lasted. You look at like Santana, Pedro, by the age of 31, 32, they were toast.
Yep.
There are not many pitchers who are 5'10" who are still going at 33, 34, 35.
Tim Lincecum being a huge one.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you just hit a big one right there, right?
Yeah.
So you got to pay him now. The question is it takes that one dumb owner, right? So, I mean, I think that they will be strong in their offer. I think 8 years, 225 is, I think, like 27, 28 million.
Yep.
I think that's a fair offer. But, I just get, and then the other thing too that not many people talk about, but I always bring up is insurance. I think, people thought I was joking years ago when I said insurance matters. You saw this last year with Correa, right? An insurance, I think there's one broker for MLB that.
Yeah, there is one.
Yeah, right. So,
Right.
and the most they insure is up to 6 years. So that means if you're given length, like 10 years, 4 years is on your own.
Yeah.
You know, they'll insure those first 6 years. So, you know, the Yankees do not get risky. I mean, they gave Judge, 10 years last year? But that was coming off of crazy, you know, how could you not, right?
I was going to say
You
they
had
really
to.
had no choice, right? It
no
goes
choice.
back to the Cole situation too. It's like they paid more than everybody. They had no choice.
No choice,
Yeah.
right? So you take the hit, but you know, one thing that was big about you know, the Ellsbury thing is that they got insurance money on a lot of his contract.
They did.
And they didn't have to worry about it.
The one concern that I have with Yamamoto is if you look at the pitching motion, it's a lot of upper body. He does
lot
not
of
use
arm.
his leg as much as most people. And at his size, that could end up being a problem down the road as far as durability. But
Yeah.
as far as the first few years coming in here, I think he's going to be a number 2 very, very easily. To
Yeah,
me,
I mean-
he's the best pitcher that's come over since Darvish.
Yeah, he should be a 2 right from the start. You know, I can't see why he wouldn't be. You know, he has the ability to be a 2.
Yeah.
And the other thing is health, and the durability is a big issue. You know, and like I said, I'm not saying, listen, if they get him, God bless them. You know, all power to them. You know, but my thing is, what were the first 2 things that Cashman said at the winter meetings? We need a center fielder and a left fielder. So anything after that is positive, right? Anything after that is great, but it's getting those 2 positions filled in before let's spend over $200 million, right? On an arm where, what are their guys won minor league pitcher of the year? They have so many, you know better than anybody. They have so many arms. Fitz, you know, Drew Thorpe, Warren, Hampton. Some of them are going to, some of them are going to, there's a Brandon Beck who was hurt this year, or he came back, who's 25, could be fast tracked into them. And that's not accounting the arms they drafted this year.
That's right.
So
Brock Selvage too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Who's a big, I absolutely
love him.
Love him, right? And he's 21. So to give Yamamoto $230 million, you know, when there's other pressing needs, I don't know. You know, and if that's their mantra, that's what they want to do, like I said, so be it, you know? But to say that, oh, Cashman was in Japan, that means they're serious. Well, so was the Mets people, so were the Dodgers people, so were the Rangers people, so the, you know, the Phillies, I think the Tigers people were there, right?
Yeah.
And the Cubs and so on and so forth. So, like I said, you know, you're going to see those dominoes. And like I said, the first domino, which could be any day now, it could be even tonight, when Ohtani signs, the next move will be, you know, I think where Yamamoto goes. And I think there are going to be plenty of teams who have that money allocated to go get that player.
Yeah. I think
You know,
we got, and I'll get to a couple of our super chats we have in here, guys. So just give me a second. I want to stay on this topic with Yamamoto. I think Yamamoto, in my opinion, and I've said this for a while, I believe he is a must for the Yankees. I know there's some people out there that go, nah, you know, it's the offense. I completely get it. But again, we're talking about the Yankees here. You know, we're talking about a team that, as Bobby, as you said, numbers-wise, they could take a lot of these guys on. And for me, it's about creating a new core. It's about creating a new core. That core of Cole and Judge is slowly creeping away in the next 3 years or so. It's not going to be there anymore. If you're able to land, let's just say, for an example, let's say they get Yamamoto. They get both of these guys together, right? That's the 2 guys they get, Yamamoto and Juan Soto. You're talking about two 25-year-olds that you have the potential to lock in long-term. You got an potential ace. And I'm even going to go further here. If Yamamoto is only good for 5 seasons, it is well worth every penny that the Yankees spend on him. And on top of that, we haven't even got into the financials of the type of money he's going to make the Yankees. If this guy has 3 to 4 good years in a row to start his career, the amount of money and endorsements the Yankees are going to get, back to last time they had it with Hideki Matsui, Ichiro for a little while, This guy is a superstar in Japan. If he ever, let's say for an example, best case scenario is he's top 5 in Cy Young Award next year. He's that good immediately. It's only going to get bigger it's only going to be more money the Yankees make off this kid. To me, it's just too smart and really too simple of a move. It's money.
Pete, 100%. The money, with the endorsements, and you got to remember the broadcast rights. Now, I don't know if the broadcast rights come from the team. I think partially, but some of it comes from MLB. But regardless, they were making. I remember when Tanaka he came here about 10 years ago. It was about $20 million in extra revenue, right? So figure that with inflation out, he's going to pay for himself. They could, like I said, they could easily get both Bellinger, Soto, and Yamamoto and be at the same number they were at this year. The question is Steinbrenner serious enough to go and to make that so-called leap of faith and take on that money, knowing that he's going to make, like I said, I did that payroll thing a few weeks ago. We're looking at, at around 725 million. Forbes has them at 685. I don't believe that because there was some additional money coming in. Yamamoto could bring that close to 800 million. See, that's the thing is he comfortable paying over the cone tax? Even if it's a few, because if he goes, I figured this out last night, if he goes to $310 million with the cone tax, that's 55 million. So that's 365 million total, or roughly almost, 45% of revenue coming in, which he should be at. Let's be honest.
Yeah, of course, 100%. No doubt about it.
Right?
Absolutely.
So question is whether he just does it or not. I'm usually not that positive. I am expecting them to be aggressive. He has to be. How can you sell tickets?
Absolutely.
You can't, and they're already down. I mean, they're already down in tickets across the board. So you don't, like, people ask, they go, Pete, yeah, but what's the difference? And I go, guys, the difference is this team was disgraced. Yes. And look, people go, yeah, but they don't, even if they don't care, they care about money. Let's be honest.
They do.
They're a business. They care about money.
How many games do, people said it was a sellout, right? And if you look in the crowd, there's nobody there. Do you know how much lost revenue is there?
Tons.
Tons.
And we're talking about, this is something to bring up too. We're talking about a couple of players. Yamamoto, one, is Japanese. There's a huge Japanese market in New York that the Yankees aren't tapping into right now.
100%.
Jason Dominguez is on his way up, but Juan Soto is the Dominican player. New York City, great Dominican market. It would be huge revenue-wise. So if I'm sitting back looking at this as a business going, hey, you're going to have to spend some money. I'm sitting at it, looking at it, go, I understand that. But one, ticket sales are going to go through the roof immediately. Merchandise galore. Advertisements out the ass. This is the smartest way to go about your business if we want to believe that Hal Steinbrenner is a very good businessman. This is a smart move for him to make.
And one more thing about Yamamoto. We talked about all of our young arms coming, how promising those guys are. Yamamoto's better. And his ceiling is higher. He is going to be better than all those kids coming, except for maybe Henry Lalane, who is still really, really young. But he's the only one that has a higher ceiling or a similar ceiling as Yamamoto. How can you pass up a 25-year-old ace when you can get him for just money?
And can we also add this to it, Dayne, which I think is fair? He's a world champion.
Right.
He's handled being the best player in his organization that he's in. He's handled the media. Yes, it might not be New York media, but he's handled it all. He's done that already.
And that media could be crazier over there, let's be honest.
It can be.
100%. Correct.
The only question that stops me, I think, of possibly getting them is a crazy bid. If Steve Cohen offers, if Cohen offers, say, 10 or 11 years, $333 million, I just can't see them going that high.
No way.
No.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way.
That's the only, everything you said, Pete, is 100% accurate, how I feel myself. The problem is when those teams that lost out on Ohtani have Ohtani money allocated, right? do they then use it on Yamamoto? That's my only thing, right? Because his legend has grown since the past few weeks, right? Those
Absolutely.
games in the Japanese playoffs and stuff. So, I think I wrote a couple of months ago that I thought 175 was a good number. That number that's blown away.
Oh,
yeah,
easy.
that's gone.
Easy.
It's easily gone.
Yep.
I think possibly they could go up to 250, but I'm thinking, if the three teams that scare me really are the Dodgers, the Rangers, and the Mets. Because they all have, especially the Rangers coming off a World Series, and that owner knows how to spend money and is okay spending money. I've been hearing a lot of talk that they're into Ohtani, which Ohtani is what, 450 to 500?
Easy.
Probably.
Right? So
Easy.
they miss out on him. They miss out on him. I don't think that owner is going to go back to their fans and say, you know what, I'm just going to save this money for next year. I mean, they're gonna go crazy, and especially that I think DeGrom is still out next year, right?
Yes.
Yes, he
he'll be
is.
out the majority of the season.
And if you have a choice between resigning Jordan Montgomery and getting Yamamoto, what are you doing?
We know we're going Yamamoto.
Right.
100%.
So that's the thing that, like I said, would is the only thing that's persuading me where I don't feel that confident in getting him, is because you're going to have these other teams with abundant amount of money and wanting to win, and that's their only target. The Yankees' target this year is Soto.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I told you, I don't know if Bobby, I don't know if you saw this, but I was told in February, I put the tweet out there that the Yankees are going to go all out for him via free agency because there was no rumors at the time or no understanding that, he was going to be traded. So my understanding is that they've been, I know people go, yeah, but Pete, it's everybody wants Soto. No, but my understanding is the Yankees feel that this guy is going to be a part of their plans, and they felt that way for a while. So it just makes all the damn sense in the world that the Yankees get this deal done. And I'll be honest, I'll say it right now. I would not be shocked if a deal is done for him during the winter meetings. It wouldn't shock me one bit.
I would
Me
hope
either.
so. I mean, that would
me one bit.
That'd be terrific. I mean, those things come out of any, out of left field, as they said.
Yeah.
I think it's getting him by far the number one thing, and other things I think will just work its way out. Whether it's trade and stuff. I think, I want the gratification now, but like we were saying about Cash and holding on to the roster and holding on to his catchers, holding on to his middle infielders. This could be prolonged into February, even to March.
Could be. You're right. So, Bobby, we only got you for a couple of minutes, and I definitely want to put you on the spot. But first, I want to get to these super chats. DJ Steele says, Bobby, can you tell Li to Zuka Lamink? Okay, all right. Well, Li, we'll leave we'll leave Li alone with that one.
Yeah.
Will says, then why do our prospects have the lowest WAR? Well, look, I think, and I've said this for a while, I think that there's still a tough jump to the major leagues. So a lot of what these guys are learning in the minors, some of that has not carried over. And that's fair to say. Sometimes it does take guys a little longer to get it going. So
and on
I wouldn't hold that against them too much. Go ahead, Dayne.
And on that topic, I would say that we haven't seen our best prospects yet. Volpe is a very, very good player, and he's just coming into his own. Jason,
I'll say this. Yeah, I'm not trying to cut you off, Dayne, but yeah, like you would probably just get into that. The Mingas looked very, very good.
And so does Austin
phenomenal towards the end. So we got David says Bellinger probably has more of a need for a left or center than first base when Rizzo leaves in 24. So I feel he is a need for them in the future also. So I guess basically saying that he can take over at first base. Mike says, what in the last 10 years, any of you think the New York Yankees will go out there? Basically, again, saying the same thing that we're talking about. Why would the Yankees change now from what they've done? And I just go up by saying they were 82-80. They were humiliated. Yep. And at the end of the day, money isn't going to come in like it did before if you don't make some moves. Victor Epic Warrior says that they miss out on Yamamoto. Would they go get Sasaki? Well, he'll have to be posted in a few years. That ain't happening anytime soon.
Right.
And then, yeah, that's all of it. But Bobby, I got to put you on the spot here. Opening day, what are the biggest moves the Yankees made?
I'm still sticking to what I believe. I think Soto in left field, Bellinger in center field, and I'm going to say Shane Bieber is on part of the rotation. I think the reason why is, and we have seen this through Cashman, he I don't want to say he's getting lazier with age, but it's not, as much as I would like to see a domino effect, I think a trade for Soto is one move, the signing of Bellinger is a second move, and a trade of Torres that probably will bring in a pitcher is the third move. I mean, the minor moves of Higgy going or a catcher, that could happen during spring training. I think it's like three moves, and then he just sits back and waiting on phone calls for his rosters of catchers and middle infielders. But I mean, I don't see more than those three. I mean, if they let's be honest over here, the opening day lineup is, just say for it, Wells behind we can't use Wells because it's cold, but on a normal day, it's Wells behind the plate,
Right.
Rizzo at first, Cronenworth, I'm assuming he comes back in a deal, at second base, Volpe at shortstop, DJ at third base, in the outfield, Soto, Bellinger, Judge, and Stanton DHing. I mean, that team in Vegas, and you guys are better gambling and know than I do, has got to be a 97, 98 win team to start.
Absolutely.
Yep. And
Right.
I'll go ahead and I'll say mine, as David said. David, you're talking about Imanaga, who is the other Japanese lefty. Good stuff. I actually watched him pitch in the WBC again the other day while I was working. And yeah, he got good stuff overall, but I don't think he's going to be a target for a team like the Yankees. But
Yeah, I
he
agree.
has a chance to be a good player. I'm going to say Yamamoto, Soto. I think they do trade Gleyber Torres. And like you said, that plethora of catchers they have, some of those guys are moved for whatever deal. But I really like the idea of Cronenworth in a deal with Soto. I think it actually makes sense for the
I do
Yankees
too.
long term. Dayne, putting you on the spot, what do you think?
I think it's going to be Soto. I don't see it how it isn't. My concern with them getting Bellinger, of course, goes back to the international free agency money and Wandy Asijan. And when I tell you that Wandy is going to be one of the highest ranked players that has ever come out of there, he is. He's that good. So if
And
you
the Yankees
sign
already have something in place with him, don't they?
yes, they do.
Yeah.
And if they sign Bellinger for the money, yes, they can go out and trade for international free agency money, but it also puts them below that cap of what they had offered him. And if they do that, his agent can shop that deal again. So we may miss out on him if they don't make that trade first. I'm all in on Bellinger if they can make sure that Asijan doesn't get compromised. And we've seen Cash not do that with his number one international free agent prospects that they've had signed. They had Dominguez. They didn't go over the tax, so they didn't mess that up. Arias, the same thing. They even chipped in more prospects to cover the Soto or the Rizzo deal. So they didn't lose that money. I just am not sure that Cashman's going to risk losing a Asijan to get Bellinger. And as stupid as that sounds, and trust me, I realize how stupid that sounds, but it's something they've done in the past.
Yep. All right, Bobby, I'm going to leave the last word to you. I just want to say real quickly before you wrap up, do not be a stranger. You are welcome back anytime. But
Yes,
the floor is
please.
yours.
First of all, I want to thank you guys. I want to wish you all the blessings for what you guys are doing. You're doing a tremendous job. You are must listens. I have you guys subscribed.
Thank you.
I really have to admit, and I listen a lot to the minor league stuff. Dayne and his team are doing a fantastic job of just. I love talking smart baseball. Smart baseball. We can have different opinions, but talk smart. And you guys are right now the cutting edge of what I consider smart baseball people. So
Thank you.
I wish
Thank
you
you
all
so
the
much,
best. And let's see in the springtime, let's see where we are, and you guys can make fun of me and say, well, this didn't happen or whatever. But it could be Max Kepler. I could have my what do they call my white whale, right? Max Kepler playing in center field. But it's going to be it's going to be nonstop action in the next couple of days. This time next week, what is it, Tuesday? It's going to be the heat of it. We're going to have rumors breaking every minute. Let's enjoy it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And again, guys, we will be live 4 hours every single day of the winter meetings, the 4th through the 7th. 100% of donations go to Toys for Tots.
That's amazing.
So we're doing some great things over here. Bobby, again, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Follow Bobby Millone on Twitter. His @ is pinned, and it's also in the description of this video. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. Great hanging out with you. Talk to you
Have a
guys.
great
Thanks,
night.
guys.
Thank you. Good night now.
Night.
Can't make a promise, but I do my best. 25 sitting on 25 racks. Just got started, no, we ain't done yet. Bought a new crib, that's a goddamn flex. Sign that check. Told them last year that I been up next. Can't take calls, but I send that text.